Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your boy or girl Josh. And I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to my main screen in a few seconds. Hey, Boiled Potato and Eco Bean Vintage, and Doc Malena and the silent background. Hey, and the Vision Girl Africa, and A Moon and Rose Chaput or Chapa or Arabella. I'm doing great, Doc. Doing just great. Hey, Rosie and J Hobie Hope and Anika and Hurt. Oh no, I have to sleep. And Nick Lawson, Katrina, Yair, Sam Sketty. Hey, Sammy Duvoir. All right, let's go ahead and switch to my main screen. There we go. All right, so I was working on that before the stream started. But earlier today I was working on my style, I guess. I've been doing that for like a couple days, but I've been working on it kind of seriously for the past day or so. So yeah, I wanted to show you guys this one in particular that I felt I did a really good job on. So this is just, I used this as a reference, and I was basically trying to figure out, I wanted to really simplify how I do my faces. And I've noticed in my style, it used to be like this. It's going from realistic to stylized to realistic to stylized. And I've kind of realized I want to kind of focus on the stylized part. The reason why will be a whole nother video, but the reason I want to focus on it because it's a lot easier for me to, I feel like in the future it'll be a lot easier for me to draw and help people, rather than to try and do realism all the time. Because at the end of the day, that's not really what I want to do. So I want to try to get back into focusing on my stylized portraits. So in order to do that, I need to find like a system that can work kind of every time. So again, if you're new to this channel, you may not have heard about this, but this is kind of my like mask method or whatever you want to call it. That's weird. Why is that in the corner? Wait a second. There we go. Okay, so the kind of diamond mask method thing that I have going on is pretty much this triangular shape, and I wrote letters every time there was a line, and this is kind of the really basic shape right here. I'll draw again. This is basically this diamond heart shape, and with this is usually how I want to start my character faces, or portraits that are my style. So for example, you can kind of tell if I mirror this, you can kind of tell that this is, it's her, but it's a little bit different because it's in a different style. But she's got the glasses, same perspective, similar lips, same eyebrow style, but it's still very stylized. And so yeah, it's these lines. These are the little letters that I represented. I don't know if you guys can see them, but I'm gonna write them down again here. Let me see. A, B, C. Why did I write it like that? It's not in order. D, E, and then this is F. And so the eyes usually reside around here, closer to this side than the middle. And then I draw another triangle inside. That's going to be where the nose stops, right here. And then the lips usually hover between this space. And then this is like the little shadow area right under the lips that you see. Usually that's where that is. And so I'm trying to continually practice rotating that in my mind, because this, if you turn it sideways, I'll show you in another portrait what it looks like. But yeah, I'm trying to look at portraits like this and then draw them in my own style. Right now it's taking me a long time to do that. Like this took me probably an hour and a half, rather than when I'm doing my realistic style. I can start getting a face down that's good enough to start shading in less than half an hour. But yeah, so this is another example. I think the reference for this one, I changed her quite a bit, was that. Oh, I got rid of the little diamond, but let me just draw it over again so you guys can see. So for this one, this is how the shape works. Let me look at the chat actually for a second. I do check the chat, Wahija, but it's not as often when I'm teaching. When I'm teaching, I usually don't check as often, but I try to remember to do it regularly. Dun, dun, dun. Igaya from Twitch. Hey Isaiah, thanks for being such a core member of my Twitch and keeping it alive. I really appreciate all of you guys. My day has been going great, Isaiah. Show us my iPad stand. It's in, I think Marie might have. Yeah, the kit link is where my iPad stand is. Alright. Cool. So I'm gonna finish drawing this part. And if you notice, like when I was doing the other one, I usually draw the eyebrows on top of this line, but you know, sometimes little things like that can change. But usually when I draw this shape, the eyebrows rest on top. Turn the music down for myself. It's a little bit too loud for me. Hey, okay, great. More vids with hands, or more drawings with hands. What do you mean? You bought an iPad and Apple Pencil. It arrives today. Oh, that's exciting. Congrats. My talking hands and my art. Hopefully soon you'll be able to see what happened. The reference right above me here is covering my face because I don't have like a good setup behind me, and I have all this blurred in the background, so it just looks really nice. But soon, in a few weeks, you'll actually be able to see me and like all this stuff, and I'll have to like change how the setup looks, but you'll be able to see actually what I'm drawing too, because actually right now you should be able to see what I'm drawing, but the app I use is kind of weird. So if you look at the top right, this is actually what I intended it for it to look like up there, so that you can actually see everything that I'm doing while I'm drawing this out. So this is kind of the simplified version for the profile that I use to kind of help me place the eyes. So the eyes usually follow this line. This goes to the very tip of the nose. You can see that's still the mask. That goes down there. If you want, you can draw another line to kind of help you find out where the mouth for the bottom of the nose is. But this is usually what I look for when I'm drawing the profile, because for me, the profile is a lot simpler than the 3/4 view. And then for me, actually, the head-on view is the hardest, which I'm not showing today, but it's the hardest because you have to really, really focus on some symmetry. So, yeah. Yeah, the eyebrows aren't really too, important when it comes to making it look right. Sometimes they can be on top, sometimes below. What I'm trying to do is keep putting them on top, and I want to really focus on nailing those important parts when I start the sketch. So if I bring up my references back, let's go to the one I was working on here. If you see this one, this was this reference. So this was me trying, this one was really difficult. You can see like how scratchy the lines are. But again, this was me doing the same thing, trying my best to understand what's unique about the reference, what's unique about her, and then applying it to kind of a generic sketch of my own style. Right now I feel like the eyes for this one are a little bit too far apart. That's my own like personal struggle that I do sometimes, is when I do 3/4 views, I'll tend to blow the right side of the face that's like facing you the most way too far. But I usually always correct it when I flip it around. So I always work flipping things back and forth, because it's like looking at your drawing from a completely fresh perspective, looking at it from your friend's perspective, or looking at it from a perspective of you after a good night's sleep sometimes. So yeah, been watching my videos since Paper Like. Oh yeah, that was a good video. First time to tune in the streams, enjoying seeing me create gorgeous art. Well, thank you so much, Zammy Z. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the donation, Kalia. Thanks for the donation. Really appreciate it. Have I drawn on the Surface Pro? David Tang asks. Oh, what's up, Takuto? Have I drawn on the Surface Pro? I have, but I don't know if I've only done it once, and then I returned it because it didn't give me the freedom I felt from working in Procreate. I just felt like I was immediately worrying about, oh, why is this brush lagging and stuff, when I was working in Photoshop on the Surface Pro. And so I kind of swore off using laptop tablets or whatever you call them to do artwork on until some date later in the future. And I decided, okay, when I get settled, I'm gonna get a Cintiq, because I know my computer will be powerful enough to handle Photoshop, so I can work in it and not have to worry about anything. But after seeing the recent developments for the iPad OS, which I can't wait to make a video for when it comes out, I'm not so sure I'm going to get a Cintiq anymore, because those things are really expensive, and they're actually around as expensive as a Apple, like a MacBook. And I'm like, well, if I get a Cintiq just for art, then if Apple continues to make developments with their iPad OS, it's just making me rethink getting a Cintiq. So I'm thinking about it. But yeah, so far I've sworn off using convertible. Oh, that's the drawing I'm gonna do today. I've sworn off using like convertible stuff, because I haven't tried one. I haven't tried one from Wacom that, I haven't tried Wacom's, but all the laptop ones seem not to have enough power for what I want to do, which is basically next to zero latency sketching. And so this is another example of me converting the reference into my style. You can tell it's different, but at the same time, it's clear that I use this reference to do the sketch. So yeah, I think if I show the diagram here, you can see it's a similar thing. I did the mask at first, and I usually try to put the eyes on that, and then I put the eyebrows on top again. The nose stays right in that center line, and then the lips stay right around there. But this time I realized I needed to push things a little bit more to the right, because it's kind of hovering in between a 3/4 view, I feel like, and then a head-on view, because you can see her entire eye, which is something you should pay attention to if you're trying to draw 3/4 view people. The easiest way to tell how far it is turned is to see how much of the eye is hidden by the nose. So yeah. Thank you, Mason. Strawberry, you're an amateur artist. You want to say that you love my style? Super inspiring. Keep it up. I definitely will. Thank you. The reference is placed like the chick took over. Yeah, the reference, for some reason, it just takes over the screen. But you might be talking about something else. Any specific reason to do basic guidelines, base forms with non-black? Oh, it's just personal preference. It is not something that you need to worry about doing at all. As a matter of fact, I probably should be doing it in black and white. But yeah. And someone said your name for it. I said it right. Wow. See ya, Yair. I always see people leaving when it's too late. So after showing you guys what I've been doing, I'm going to actually try and do this live. And you guys are going to see how much of a struggle it still is for me. This one's going to be kind of hard because it's like way out there and I haven't practiced that one yet. So I think I'm going to do this one. This one feels pretty comfort zone right now, but we'll see. Okay, get my posture up. Oh, perfectly in line with mine. That's funny. Okay, so for this, I'm gonna try and stay zoomed out so that you guys can not get super dizzy like I keep making you guys get. I'm gonna really focus on going for this angle that I see right here. Trying to get that right. I just put lotion on my hands since I took a shower recently, and it's really hard to control this Apple Pencil. So slippery when you have lotion on your hands. The tricky part for me is thinking, okay, how do I want this character to look, but at the same time looking at the reference to make sure it's similar. It's like, it's always very tricky to do that. So in this one I realized that she's turned far enough to where this line merges with this one on that side, so it looks more like that. You'll see what I mean in a second if you don't get it. Sorry guys, I don't want to draw non-straight lines, so I need to rotate the canvas to get a better handle on the stroke. Oh, seeing art being made, awesome. The progress stage, yeah, for sure. That's kind of like one of the tenets of my channel. Like I've always wanted to show the process and the journey, if you will. So ideally this would be the perfect shape and I wouldn't have to change it, but now I'm paying a little bit more attention and I feel like her face comes out a little bit more than I had it. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna actually erase it just because some of you guys might be traditional, and I'm gonna try to identify with you guys for a little bit and not just use the selection tool. Okay, that's it. I'm just gonna use this tool. I'm tired of trying to draw straight lines when I'm in an awkward position. Gotta dry my hands off. Finished artwork, it depends, usually between 6 to 12 hours, depending on the difficulty and depending on how much stuff I do. I found these days I progress better actually when I spend a little bit more time on something. When I like get it to a point where it's like I can't make it any better. And I usually make sure that's not because of details. I usually make sure that's because, can I tweak the perspective? Can I understand this? Can I flip it? Can I study the reference? I do that a lot more these days, and I find that it's faster for me than just doing another drawing and then skipping that, doing another drawing and then doing another drawing. I'm trying to make sure this makes sense. Just doing light lines, trying to help myself visualize what this should look like. I have a tendency of making this too far to the left, so I'm already trying to catch myself on that. I feel like, you know, the line for here and the line for that one, this one really isn't as long as that. Like, it's not that much longer than that one. So I think I'm gonna catch myself in the act right now and shorten this up. I have such a strong stigma of like worrying about trying to draw these lines perfectly the first time, but I'm trying to let go of that and focus on quickly just getting stuff down and learning what I need to learn. Am I a teacher in real life? No. In real life, I'm a YouTuber in real life. Hey, you just got your iPad Pro, nice, with your Apple Pencil. It's perfect as a birthday gift from your aunt. Your aunt is amazing. You want to get into digital drawing, you saw them view my videos, have any advice? I would say to get Procreate and forget about all the other apps and start like doing some, like start spending a lot of time in it. I think the biggest... digital art can be a great way to learn, but the biggest risk for starting out with digital art is you can get distracted with all the little stuff that you can do in there. It can get really, really distracting. I'm gonna move all this over, actually. I'm finding that this angle should be more like this. Her face is like up and facing us, so I'm gonna change that again. My goal is to eventually be able to like recognize this stuff without having to make so many adjustments. But yeah, you'll see what I mean soon. So since she's looking up, the top plane of her face, this little triangular area, is going to be really small, and it's not going to be as big as I was used to for the past several drawings I've done in the past few days. Just getting a rough sketch in for her nose. Summer school class? What are you guys supposed to be doing? The cacti, you see, the one on the left, I don't remember, maybe Sammy remembers. It's either Ben or Jerry. But yeah. I'm remembering that I don't have to draw the nose exactly how it looks. I can stylize it. I'll go ahead and focus on the eyes. I think for this one the eyebrows need to be below the way I drew it, because I already drew the mask kind of high up. The eyebrows pretty much follow the shape of the mask for the most part. How long does it actually take you to turn into a pro? LOL. No, I'm not. He told me not to say it, but I'm not. But the time it takes you to get like to a certain level in anything is simply it's kind of hard to estimate it. It depends on how much you do per day and how valuable of the exercises are you doing. You know, there are some things you can do and you'll never get to you'll never improve for like 100 years if you do those things, because they're not really helpful. Somebody can, you know, take the same class as you and improve a lot more just because of what they're doing at home. In addition, you know, it's tricky because time is a big factor, but also like, what are you doing with that time? Not really proud of how the nose looks right now. I'm going to start off with a more basic shape just to make it more abstract. Like this. I think I'm like really concerned with pushing her face too forward, and so that might be part of why I'm struggling a little bit here, because I've done that in a portrait before. I really like how her lips look in this reference. Am I going to color this one? Maybe. I probably won't, because I'm focused on, since we hit 3 digits, I need to move this even further to the left. Maybe, but since I'm focusing on drawing right now, I probably won't. But I'm going to upload a how to shade video this weekend. But that video is not going to include coloring. It's just going to be for people who need to figure out, you know, how to get their values right for skin. Which I am, I'd say, pretty good at. I have a thing or two I can advise people to do. So right now I'm pretty happy with how the face looks, but I'm not sure if I'm happy with how the character looks, because I want it to obviously take attributes from the reference, and not just look like a random, a random girl. I want it to be clear that I use this reference when I finish up the sketch. Oh, just gotta accept that her mouth is gonna look a little bit bigger than I drew it. You have an 11-inch iPad Pro, an Apple Pencil, and a Procreate. You've been drawing at least once a day. What classes? Yeah, look at what Takudo sent. Draw a box. It's the most boring, not fun thing, but if you do it, it's really good. And I recommend doing it as soon as you can, because the older you get, the more impatient you're going to be, because you couldn't get me to do that course right now. Like, I actually was supposed to do something like that a few years ago, but I was like, I don't want to do that stuff. I was like, I want to draw people. I think I'm good enough I think I'm responsible enough to like figure out how to learn what I need to learn while drawing people. And so I did, and it was tough, but I clearly made a lot of improvement. So yeah. There we go. I'm much happier with this nose. Drawing an oval, like, you always get those books where it's like, oh, draw an owl, start with a circle, and then draw a circle for the body, and then they just start making it look crazy amazing and you don't even know what happened. I usually hate that stuff, but when it comes to noses and locating stuff, at least facial features, it's so easy just to draw a circle first. I'm drawing a circle now for like the mass of the chin, so I can start visualizing how I want the face to look. I think I actually might have second guessed myself too much, and I'm feeling like the eye should be a little bit farther to the left. And then I'm going to do something that I hate doing right now, is I'm going to flip the image. It's going to look absolutely terrible, but I just have to work through it. I don't hate it, but I'm going to try and see if that's just because I haven't drawn enough of the details. And getting this part of the face also is very tricky for me, and it's something I want to work on. And if you saw from the from the little diagram I did for the face. I actually want to see if I can pull it up. This is how I usually want to set up my faces. So you have the curve for the chin, and then usually after that there's more or less a straight line for most of the cheek. So this is me teaching you, but also teaching myself. And then there's usually a straight line for the cheekbone. And then there's a line up for the eyebrow. I'm feeling like it needs to be a little bit thicker. And then there's usually a line for the forehead. And then there's a curve. Then here's another line for the temple. And then there's usually another line. And now these lines aren't the whole head. It's for basically what I call the face, the limits of the face. I'm sure scientifically the actual limits for a face are slightly different. But for me, the limits for the face are pretty much these lines. And if you're wondering where I came up with like all this stuff and these lines, it's because I was just decided one day I was going to make the golden ratio. If you look up golden ratio face on Google Images, you'll see where I got all this from. But it's a lot more complex than this, and I spent some time simplifying it a few years ago. I was like super nerdy. I was like, I brought pictures into like Adobe Illustrator, and I would draw the lines and like try to superimpose them over to really understand which of these lines are important. There's got to be just a few of them that I need to memorize, quote unquote, to learn how to draw. And so that's what I did. Yeah, the mask method, guys. The method I'm using. Oh, thanks for helping people, Sammy. That's awesome. Yeah, it's very complex. I somebody else mentioned that. It is, for me, definitely, I am somebody who likes structure to things to help me learn. But you definitely don't need all this to be able to draw a face. A lot of artists will say that this is a complete waste of time and you should just start blocking in shapes with a paintbrush, and then, you know, carve out the eye sockets, block in the light, block in the surfaces of light and stuff. And that's great. That's a great way to learn. But for me, I'm focused, like my dream is drawing. I really like to draw. And so I'm not as interested in being able to paint my way through something. I want to be able to see it and like be super accurate and draw it the way I want it to look from my head, and then make adjustments once something's on the paper. So definitely you're not a bad person if this doesn't work for you. You're not like, you know, dumb or not skilled if this doesn't work for you at all. I'm a very, very kind of analytical, rigid based person. I used to actually think I wasn't creative because of that. But fortunately I was able to see that that wasn't true. I was just creative in different ways. So I'm not liking how her chin looks a little bit too pointy, so I'm going to try and smooth it up. I'm very happy with this at the moment now. It's just a matter of trying to get a little bit of this, of the look of this character back in. Yeah, I made her cheekbone a little bit too crazy there. I'm gonna tone it back. Thank you so much, Gabriza. I started teaching and making in-depth tutorials, like really the way I draw. I think I know what you're talking about, but if I did that, I would most likely not put them on YouTube because they would be not nearly as entertaining as the other forms of content. I would probably put them on Patreon or something. Yeah, my channel is, I'm not intending for it to be like as rich as some of the other really awesome channels out there like Cynics and Sycra, Yasin, and who else? some of, well, probably choose mostly podcasts. But yeah, those are the two that stand out to me. Them, I'm not trying to make it more like them. I'm trying to be more like, not similar, but you know how Ross Strauss's videos are not like super educational, but they're entertaining and still very informative. That's kind of like what my channel is, but I also want people to be able to see, you know, a lot of what I'm doing, because I believe that's really important. Because I know that if I was a young artist and I popped on YouTube and I saw something really cool that I wanted to draw, and I saw someone drawing it, I would be really happy to have that, because that's something that's really rare, especially in like live time. Like that's, you definitely don't get that very often. This is usually where the ear would be, if you could see it. If we could see it. If I want to go ahead and draw the hair. This is where it would be, but I'm focusing on faces for the time being. So when I do my how to like shade video, I'm actually going to limit you to seeing just what's inside the face right there. I'm not really going to worry about everything else, because it's not necessary. You bought an iPad because of me. I keep hearing this and like my heart is aching. Like, part of me is like, great, that's awesome. Part of me is like, oh no, what if it turns out terrible and that's my fault? And then part of me is like, Apple, where you at? I want my thank you letter. I want my affiliate link. You live in Belgium. Thanks, Jean-Jacques. You don't draw, but you love my voice. Well, thanks. Thanks, David. I will have more videos with better vocal quality soon. I can't really, well, I think I might be able to in the future, but I can't really treat my voice like how I usually do when I make my videos live. And that's, I might be able to do that, but in my studio, I'll be able to sound treat my room. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how that makes everything sound. But this room also isn't terrible, but we'll see. Apple needs to sponsor. Yes, I know, right? It's freezing up. Huh, I don't have any dropped frames, so it must be on your end. For once, I don't have any drop frames. Screen protector, yeah. Definitely. I've been thinking, like, with this video, like, the lighting I like for my videos is for everything to be as white as possible, for my skin to be rich, for the plants to be rich, and then for the screen to be visible. And so in order to do that, if you look, I have my brightness turned down halfway so that everything else is super bright. My iPad screen isn't blown out. If I turn my brightness up all the way, you can't see anything on my screen. So yeah, that's how I do everything. But I've been thinking, but the problem with that is when I zoom in, or zoom out rather, you can see the graininess on the screen, and it's not terrible, but I wish it could be a little bit better. And so I'm thinking I want to try and do a video without my screen protector and see how hard it is to draw. And I will definitely try not to put on too much lotion that day. Thank you so much for the donation, Jean-Jacques. They need voice actors for those meditation videos. I have done some research on those, Jennifer. I'm like, oh, I could do that. This is the hardest part for me, guys, if you don't know. drawing eyeballs actually look like they're looking at you instead of being cross-eyed. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do another layer and erase some of those guidelines because I'm not sure if she's looking like how I want her to look. So I'm gonna erase some of those real quick. I'd say Paperlike is only slightly better option. I think it's pretty funny. They didn't sponsor me or anything, but I asked for a free copy and they gave me one. But then my video is more popular than any of the videos that they actually have sponsored. So I think it's pretty funny. I think so. I think mine is most popular. And I feel really bad that my video's not even that good for them because I didn't even show everything and I didn't do a good job putting it on. And I didn't even, show all the things you can do with it, because apparently you can wash the screen with soap and it will get its roughness back, which I really need to do right now. And I haven't even done all that stuff when my videos comes before their video of how to actually apply it and stuff, and so I'm like, ooh, they might be mad. Cheaper screen protector. The one I like is iCares with a I, it's spelled like iPhone with a little lowercase iCares, and then the airs ends in a Z. Look that up on Amazon. They are pretty good. Changing up the cheekbone a little bit there, because at the chin the skin comes in a lot more. It's not as puffy as where the cheeks are, so I'm trying to pull that in. Just makes it have it just gives it a little bit of difference in the character that I really appreciate. It makes shading harder when you do stuff like that, but I always like to love my drawings before I shade them. Now I feel like going back on my word about what I said about putting the eyebrows too high in the beginning. I think I placed them right where they should have been. Let me go ahead and flip this again. Flipping this has made me feel like I want to change her cheekbones again slightly. I think this is coming out too far. Hey Kazuki, what's up? How often do I draw and what brush do I use to sketch? Right now I'm using my pen pencil brush to sketch. I usually use my pencil eraser brush, but yeah. Yeah, I feel like this eyebrow should be a little bit higher. I just love my 3/4 views. I feel like I could make her nose a little bit more perky. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, there we go. I needed to shift some of the stuff to the right to really get it in perspective. Yeah, now it looks a lot more like the reference in a good way, because we're still trying to, you know, make sure this is stylized rather than super realistic. Testing out a lot of things. If I like the cheek to be straight, if I like the cheek to bulge out slightly, that's what I'm doing right now. A lot of times I just forget about the reference and I'm like, well, how do I want my drawing to look? And that's really important, especially if you're like me, and the very act of switching back and forth between your reference can make you draw badly. So you need to limit how much you do it. Yeah, the music is in the description. This is one of my favorite tracks on it. I'm not using iCares right now. Right now I'm still using Paperlike. But I have used iCares for most of my videos. Love Island? No. Yeah, she is. You're having an artist block. Oh no, you literally feel like you can't draw anymore and you can't think of original ideas or even copy and image. So do you still want to draw something? Like, you want to draw but you don't want to, or you feel like you won't be happy with what you draw? Because a lot of the times it's you feel like you're going to be disappointed, and so you don't want to draw. And usually the best thing to do is to try to either limit the art that you look at, or to focus the art that you look at to be one specific set of things and to try and copy it, and give yourself really small rewards. Like, can I do something a little bit better than I normally do by just trying to copy this thing that I like by looking at it? You know, little things like that to get you drawing really, really help. Yeah, hopefully I agree with you, Super Koku. Hair strands, and you have time coloring it. I would say to focus it on chunks. The hair that I've done recently that I'm proud of, that was more strandy, is like this. And if you look at how I started it out, well, that really doesn't help, but how I started it out was I did dark areas with a big brush, so like that deep color was all that was there at first, and then after that you use smaller and smaller brushes. So like you see, those are the brush I was using to sketch, but like this area was like just a hairbrush. And so I would recommend coloring as you draw it, not necessarily drawing it as lines and then coloring it, because I don't think there's any style where you draw the strands and then color the strands. Anime style. Kawaii desu. Head shapes. How to draw head shapes. Yeah, try and follow the basic sketch I did, because head shapes they're tricky for me. They're hard for me to draw too, and the best thing for me to get them right is to do the face first. It's really proper to draw the head first and all that stuff, but for me it's just not, it just isn't worth it. For me, it's really, I can see the face way better in advance, and then molding the head around that is much easier for me, so I'd recommend giving that a go. I don't think it's really gonna be a problem for you in the future if that's how you learn, because I think once you can get something to look really good, it's really not, like, you're not gonna lose that skill, no matter, like, if you change media, if you start from a different perspective. Like, once you can get something down, I think it's like, it's pretty much set in stone. Like, I've seen artists who switched to the iPad and it's their first time, and you can definitely see there's a quality decrease, but the core of what they've learned is still there very strongly. So that is my recommendation. Driver's permit. Good luck. Personal plug. I got 100 on my first driving test, so I'm just gonna say that. I think I still have a picture of it to this day. I was so proud. Now, the way I'm drawing the kind of shadow line isn't exactly in tune with the reference, but when you're drawing in a style, you really want to simplify as much as you can while still showing the same amount of information. So I'm showing that there's a plane change, but I'm not going to make it like hers. I'm going to change it up a little bit to fit what I want. And usually when I'm starting to plan to draw, like start shading, I'll draw little circles here and there for the highlights and for the areas that I know are going to be bright. So, for example, I see there's a highlight here, and then there's some like that. So that's what I would draw to start giving me ideas. I'm really in love with the drawing process a lot more than the painting, at least for now. Well, it's probably just gonna be like that for the rest of my life because I've always been way more interested in drawing. Drawing a rat, that'd be cool. If I tried to draw a rat, it would look like I just regressed 10 years of my art experience. Your mom and you were driving straight on the road, but she wanted to put her hair. No. That's risky. Your mom shouldn't ask you to do that. I mean, I remember when I almost crashed the car, but that was when I was learning. My dad was like so freaked out. I have no idea what's outside, but I can tell that it's loud. Sorry, guys. Hopefully in the future this stuff won't happen nearly as much. So. Oh yeah, trust me. Like in front of a camera when I'm doing a live stream is so much harder. Like, how long did this take? 39 minutes. I'm actually surprised because this took me longer when I was relaxing today, sketching. But I think this is because it's my that's also a tip. This is my 6th drawing today. There is a huge difference in how you draw within one day, depending on how many drawings you've done in a single day. Like, your first drawing of the day is going to be, I'd say, 50% or less as good as the last drawing you do in a day, if you draw at least like 5. So yeah, definitely spend time to warm up if you are trying to do something that's important or teach people. I don't always do that, so yeah. Since 19K, yeah. I sat at the 19-20K mark for a while. Available on the regular iPad? Yeah. This is just an iPad feature. You swipe up slowly once you've acted, like you swipe, like the bars there, you swipe up to activate it, then slowly, and then bring it over there. And you can do that with any application. And I can't wait for the new operating system where you can because when you comment and you have a check mark beside it, it comes up to the top every time. So it's a really good way to get your name out there if you're smart about how you use it and you don't abuse it. Can I draw a second line for her eyelid? I think I am. I still like to add little parts of realism like that, even though my drawings are stylized. The new Mac Pro, I'm not really interested in the Mac stuff, other than what I just saw in the recent WDC, so I couldn't answer that. Apple Pen tomorrow, awesome. I'm glad you found my channel. Yeah, color picking to study is not a problem either. I don't think it's a problem either. I mean, I think it's coloring is really difficult, and color picking you will learn things from that. Because especially if you are being strategic, because especially if you limit how many times you color pick, like don't color pick, if you were to color pick to paint this, don't color pick like as you move along the nose here, and keep color picking and doing patches of different colors. Like pick, okay, what's the base skin color, what's the shadow, what's the highlight, oh, some of the highlight is over here, I don't need to color pick to use that. Okay, what's this purple shade, you know? Okay, what's the shadow color? Oh, let me take some of this red over here and add it here because it looks like it's over there. You know, like that's the kind of color picking that's going to teach you, not just like just filling in like little dots of color every time you get to a new area that looks different. So can you hum? I like the soothing sound. Do I have any bad drawing habits that I want to get out of? Yes. Mine are I mean they're not really that, they're more like macro habits. Like I want to do a lot more drawing in traditional, and that's kind of related to what Takuto said, because the undo is different, is like not available there. So I feel like there's this kind of underlying confidence thing I need to work on, where it's like this subconscious confidence of trusting that when you started drawing, you're probably going to do it right and just draw, and not like try and catch yourself before you make a mistake, and just let the natural experience slowly build up. That's like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to kind of get into. That's the main one I see right now. That's like something I definitely want to improve on, that I don't think it's not a big deal. There's some I don't think it's really a big deal. Like for example, like how I'm shading these eyebrows right now. It's not how it should be for the final, but I'm just doing it so that I can check the values and see how this looks with her eyebrows actually dark. And I'm going to do the same for the eyes, and then I'm going to eventually blend it later. I'm a very messy shader. Like if I were to start shading, I would just do this and then blend it. I'm not going to try and be very special and like very like fine about it, because digital art is just so much harder to control than traditional. If I were doing this in traditional art, like this kind of hatching method that I would do would look perfect, you know, whereas in digital art it's like extremely difficult to get it right. Like this would, if I was on paper, this would look perfect, but that's a limitation. I feel like, well, since it's a limitation, I'm going to use an advantage. Ooh, wow, you have 32 points, J-Hope, Hope. Will the video be available later? Yes. Almost all of my YouTube streams will. Real life things to do. This is real life. Just stay in the stream. Thanks, Takuto. It's better in the game. It's different in the game. You'll find out soon. No one knows what the points mean just yet. When did I start drawing as a hobby? I mean, I've always liked drawing my whole life. You know, everyone likes drawing when they're a kid, but eventually some people stick with it, and I was one of those people. Like, I would get drawing books from the library. Most people didn't do that. But like, I guess like when you could call it a hobby, that was 11, 12 years old. That's when I like actually got my parents to buy me art books. So, yeah. How long am I going to be streaming? I think for another 20-ish minutes. Right about there. I don't know. A lot of people ask me like to do shorter streams, but it's like, well, what I do can't be compressed into like 15 minutes. Now, videos are possible. I can do that, but I still need to figure out what kind of videos people actually like watching that are shorter. Because the reality is, when I do short videos, people watch them for like only like a minute or two. So it needs a lot more. It needs a lot more attention. Thanks for the donation, Gato Brando, and I'm glad you asked, because I do have a Patreon, and it's recently been released. I think Marie is probably, yeah, there you go. Marie just linked you the Patreon page, and yeah, I have a Patreon there, and I'm planning to make a little fun post about what I'm doing with my computer later after this stream. So yeah, you like the longer streams. Yeah, a lot of people like it. I can tell because people stay, and a lot of people come back and forth. I've noticed my stream participation has jumped again to where it seems like 75 is my new baseline. 70, 75. And then the max looks like I can get up to 260, whereas it used to be 50 was my baseline. It's really good. Very exciting to know that there's this many people interested in watching me work, and I'm really excited to see what happens in the future when I can get my studio set up and the stream quality increases, and you can feel a lot more at home, a lot more relaxed, like you're actually hanging out with me, especially on my nightly streams. So like, yeah, what I'm doing could be classified as a bad habit right now because I'm just scribbling, but I can blend it later, and I want to get an idea for how the values are ahead of time. Yeah, support me, guys. I don't have a job. This is all I do. Oh, hey, Layla. I can't remember what art you did. I could actually check easily by just opening. Oh, my backup finally ended. Oh, I should have been doing it while I was doing all of this. Oh, Layla. Oh yeah, yours was the white hair one, the full white hair. Yes. Chilling with Josh. Your math teacher is strict. Oh no. Draw all over it. Man, teachers be being crazy sometimes. The one I compared to Rostra's, yeah. I hope you like Rostra's. I definitely love his art. Some people can tell that my art is very much inspired by his.
We brought levity to each other's lives, but there's a lot more to life than that, and I realized that in these last few years. And we just became very different, and so we had nothing in common overnight. It's very strange, but that happens.
Called your parents? That's a lot for drawing in class. Most parents would be like, don't waste my time. That's real extra. 11 out of 13. Oh, yeah. Hang in there. It gets really hard your last year. I'm going to tell you that in advance. Unless you're the type of person that really enjoys their high school experience. But I assume you're not if you have time to be on my live stream. Your voice is deeper than my deep, cheap headphones can go. Some people watch me on their really nice TVs with sound systems, and I'm like, ooh. And they say I rumble stuff, and it's like, oh Lord. Oh, the song Not My Art? Okay, Beryl Mengzi. I see how it is. Thanks, Chara. Welcome. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm adding reflections that aren't there. My favorite thing to do. ASMR art, yep. I put that hashtag on my Twitch streams. Nobody's called me out for it yet. Still not happy with this area. I might move her mouth a little bit to the right. No, makes it not look like her. This eye is a little bit slanted with some random things you notice. Rotating in Procreate is so tricky because it's so easy to increase the size on accident. Yeah, drawing at any age. Drawing is for any age. Oh, you've always wanted to draw like that. Why? What was like the hindrance? I am so neurotic about this. It just doesn't look like how I want it to look. That's way too far. She looks like a skeleton. I think I'm just gonna leave it there. Dolby surround sound. Ooh, that must be nice. Once a week for a few months. Oh, you need to draw more. J-Hope. You need to draw multiple times a day to grow the fastest you can grow. I was wondering, my YouTube thing has been stuck at 95 viewers for some reason. I was like, how is it so perfect at 95 viewers the whole time? That's that. I mean, it's stuck at 75, but it's really at 95 viewers, so that's interesting. I can't rely on that thing, which means I'm gonna have to look at the viewer count, Marie. Oh no. I think I figured out why I wasn't happy with this. Her chin needs to come out further than I was actually showing it. These are the things I'm always like reworking and overworking. Look at your forehead. font is a little bit too big. Nice, be smoother. Got some new RAM. I hope it came in the mail finally. My PC is gonna have to have 64 gigs of RAM, which is way too much for most people, but I need it. I need it. This is also a bad habit. For something so simple, I should trust myself more, which is, I guess, the same bad habit I was talking about earlier. More contests soon? What is soon? I think I'm gonna hold my next contest after I move. So within a month, yes. Oh, I forgot I was on camera for a long time. Like, my body was on camera. I hope I didn't do anything weird. of June. Oh, I know somebody else who has that birthday. Good contest around them getting an iPad, lol. Yeah, if you guys get me to 1 million subs. Or if you get me to 100,000 subs by, June 30th. Yeah, you won't be able to do that. Yeah, get me to 100,000 subs by June 30th. I was supposed to reach 100,000 by like August-ish, early August, like first half. But it's gotten a little slow, but hopefully it picks up soon. You're scaring me, Jennifer. End stream. Robots and such. You found me because you're getting an iPad and started using Procreate. Hey, cool. You looked up how to draw on iPad and Procreate, and then my video came up. Because I like somehow monopolized that. Oh, hey. Oh, yeah, so this is the robots from Twitter. Hey, robots and such. I was wondering, I wonder if this is the same guy. Brushes. Oh, that's what. Oh, yeah. I need to update that video. It's old. But it also has a decent amount of views, so it's like, probably not worth it. Spray painting a wall? Oh, I'm terrible. I've never even tried that. It would come out terribly. All forms of realistic paint I'm so bad in. I mean, real life paint. You should watch my like old art video and see it, the painting that I did in acrylic. It's absolutely terrible. You're gonna wonder why you're subbed to this channel. Like, wait, why am I subbed to this guy again? If he paints this badly? Yes, I do, HDM. It is Instagram. Damn it, I can't comment right now. Why won't it let me comment? Ugh. Instagram is where I post my work in like kind of somewhat formal way. So, as we wrap up the stream, I'm gonna go back to this. I changed it up a little bit. You can see I changed up a lot of stuff, even though I said I was happy with it here. The anatomy is very different, but at the end of the day, it's mostly the same. So if we go and do that, and we go and try to draw in the shapes I talked about in the beginning. Let's go ahead and have at it. So this is how it looks. Then I cut this here. These two lines are the same, and it just looks different because it's in perspective. It's flipped around. At this point, here. Usually this line always lines up with the bottom, with the top of the bottom eyelid. It's hard to visualize this part because the nose isn't there, but you have to try to imagine it without the nose. That part is a little off. Normally I wouldn't be redrawing it, but it's because I changed the anatomy a little bit, so it's necessary. But trust me, this is the rule set that this drawing follows. So that's somewhat of a raised plane of the face. It's kind of ignoring the nose, but you can see that the arrow, the little line here is very close to the right because she's turned a good amount to the right because you can see her eye just meets her nose. Sometimes there's a good amount of space in between there and her face is still turned, or sometimes it'll be turned so much where the eye is completely occluded and then this line just merges into that one. But yeah. And then for the face, like I said, use basically this. Let me decrease my brush size. It's basically this shape. Straight line there, straight line there, straight line there, straight line like that, straight line like that, straight line coming up, and then another one like this. Oh, I switched the eraser for some reason. And then you have two curves. So you have the curve for the top of the face, like that. It's me being anal about the curve. And then the one for the chin. And so if we hide that, you can see that's basically what I'm looking for when I'm trying to draw someone and I want to kind of study how their face is different from my basic character shape. And then this shape I found works from a lot of different angles to work on the anatomy. So that concludes this stream. I'm going to look at the chat for a little bit before I go. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. You're like, how long is the stream gonna be? No, it's ending. You're gonna get some sleep. Yeah, that's a good idea because the stream is ending. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will be streaming again on Thursday, and I will be kind of just doing a chill drawing stream tonight on Twitch around probably 8 p.m. So yeah, until then, I will see you in the next video. Peace and goodbye. Let me switch to this video right here. Bye. That's sideways. Oh well. Let's switch to the ending. Alright, thanks everyone, and I'll see you next time.